All right, let's talk about the story of a kid who started a website in his college dorm room and, in the process, ended up changing, well, pretty much everything. This is the story of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, his journey it's a complicated one, right? It's praised for its vision and at the same time criticized for its power. This quote just nails it. It really gets to the sheer scale of his impact. It's immense, it's messy, and it's deeply, deeply complex.
So let's rewind. Where did this all even start? We've got to go back to his early days, back to that initial spark at Harvard, a spark that would eventually become one of the biggest ideas of our time.
You know, right from the get-go, Zuckerberg wasn't your average kid. I mean, as a teenager, he was already this incredible coder, just building stuff for fun. Messaging apps, music software, not for money, but just because he could. That DNA of being a builder, it was there from day one.
And this right here, this gets to the heart of it. Picture this, he's still in high school, and big tech companies are already trying to buy one of his apps. And what does he do? He says no. Why? Because he just loved building stuff more than the idea of cashing out. And that mindset, that really shaped everything in the early days.
So you can just imagine the scene, right? A messy Harvard dorm room, pizza boxes everywhere, and this is where it all clicks. He realized what was missing was a digital space for, well, real human connection. A place for real names, real faces. It wasn't fancy, not at all, but it felt authentic. And that's exactly why it took off like a rocket with students.
And what happened next? Well, growth doesn't even begin to cover it. It was a straight-up explosion. That little dorm room project, it was about to go global.
I mean, we're not talking about a slow burn here. We're talking weeks. That's all it took for this thing to just burst out of Harvard and start spreading to other colleges like wildfire.
And it just kept picking up speed, from weeks to months, and suddenly it's a full-blown phenomenon across campuses all over the country. And Zuckerberg, he's right in the eye of the storm.
So think about that jump, from a handful of kids in a dorm room to billions of people. Billions. It stopped being just a website and became like a utility, a basic part of daily life for so many people on this planet. The scale is just, it's mind-boggling.
So you gotta ask, how on earth did he pull that off? Well, it wasn't luck. It was a series of incredibly bold make-or-break moves. Dropping out of Harvard? That was betting it all on his vision. He got the smartest people he could find on his team, and then the killer moves, buying Instagram and then WhatsApp. Those two acquisitions basically sealed the deal, cementing their dominance for a long, long time.
And you know, this period of just insane growth, it created two very different pictures of the guy. On one hand, you've got the visionary, right? The guy designing how we all connect online. But on the other hand, people saw him as ruthless, someone who would make any tough call to win. And honestly, the answer is probably, yeah, he was both.
Okay, but when you have that much power, that much influence, there's always a shadow. And you really can't tell the story of Facebook's rise without talking about the huge controversies that came along with it.
And we're talking about major storms here. You had huge privacy scandals, right? Cambridge Analytica, that was a big one. Accusations of political manipulation, the spread of misinformation. Suddenly, this platform that was built to bring people together was being accused of tearing society apart.
So this all boils down to one massive question. Who's responsible here? You can just see him, right? Sitting in that chair in front of Congress, getting grilled for hours. When something gets this big, this powerful, who's ultimately accountable? The guy who built it? Us, the users? Society as a whole? There's just no easy answer to that, even today.
You know, with all the headlines and all the controversy, it's kind of easy to forget there's a person at the center of it all. So let's pull back the curtain a little. Who is the man himself, and where is he trying to take all of this next? What's really interesting is that his personal life is, well, it's incredibly simple, and that's on purpose. He's married to Priscilla Chan, his girlfriend from college. He's got 3 daughters, and they've started this huge initiative to give away almost all of their money. That famous gray t-shirt, it's not just a weird quirk. It's about stripping away distractions to focus on the big picture.
And then, in 2021, he pulls off maybe the biggest pivot of his entire career. He gets up and says, hey, we're not Facebook anymore. The company was changing its name, its entire identity. It wasn't about social media anymore. It was about what comes next. It was about Meta.
So what is Meta? Well, this is the billion-dollar, or actually trillion-dollar bet, the metaverse. He sees it as the next chapter of the internet. We're not just going to be looking at screens anymore. We're going to be in these digital worlds, working, hanging out, playing, all in VR and AR. A lot of people think it's science fiction, but he is betting the entire farm that this is our future.
And really, this brings it all back around, doesn't it? It perfectly captures who he is at his core. Look, whether you love the idea or you hate it, this massive bet on the metaverse, it's the same impulse that drove that kid in the dorm room. He doesn't wait for the future to show up. He's the guy who's always trying to build it.
So where does that leave us, after all of it? The creation, the controversy, this wild bet on a digital future, what do we call him? Is he a visionary, a disruptor, or something else we don't even have a word for yet? His story is far from over, and I guess the final verdict is still out.